Hello, prospective education majors. First, let me say welcome to my Bitmoji classroom, and I am so excited that you are considering becoming a teacher. Today, I want to give you a little bit more information about what that looks like and what it takes to be an effective teacher. So, your bare minimum just to be able to enter the field and join the profession, get a job, you're going to need a college degree, which you're already here, so you're already working on that. Passing score and certification exams, which your courses in this in the education program will help you attain that, and then a clear background check. So just make sure you stay clear of any legal trouble. That way you are good to go and you have a clear background check when it comes time for you to apply for jobs. So what does it take to be an effective teacher? Once you're actually in the classroom, what do you need to do? What do you need to know in order to reach your students and make a difference and teach them what they need to know? In my opinion, I think the three most important things are knowledge, empathy, and patience. So teaching is hard work, right? If you are considering teaching, you're not going into it for the money, or you shouldn't be. If you are, turn around and go back now. That teaching is hard work. You have to have your heart in it. This has to be something that you're really passionate about so that you can avoid burnout and make sure that you're happy at work every day. You know the old saying, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. So when it comes to knowledge, it's important to understand that teaching is both an art and a science. This diagram does a good job of kind of explaining what I mean by that. So here in the green, we see it says, I teach children. And in the blue, it says, I teach mathematics. Here in the middle, it says, I teach children mathematics. So you need to have a knowledge of pedagogy and a knowledge of your content to be a well-rounded, effective teacher. So when it comes to knowledge, a little bit more in depth about that, this is about the knowledge of pedagogy specifically. You need to have an understanding of the science of teaching reading, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Bloom's taxonomy, Gardner's multiple intelligences, teaching the whole child, and culturally responsive teaching. So empathy. When it comes to empathy, this statistic says that students in U.S. schools report feeling stressed out 80% of the time. It's important to have empathy because if you can make a difference in a way a student feels, you might be able to reduce their stress level, which can improve their quality of life, which by then increases their bandwidth to learn at school. So overall, it just, like I said, increases their quality of life. And when you're talking about empathy, stuff like Maslow's hierarchy of needs comes in, Gardner's multiple intelligences, teaching the whole child, and culturally responsive teaching. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it relates to making sure that a student has all their basic needs met. Because if a student comes to school and they're hungry or they're tired or they're just emotionally checked out, because who knows what's going on at home, right? We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We have to make sure that our students' basic needs are met when they come to school, because even though that's not our job, if their needs are not met, we aren't going to be able to do our job. So that can look like if a student tells you they haven't eaten breakfast, sending them to the cafeteria even though breakfast is technically over. That can look like allowing a student to put their head down and sleep that day. It can look like a lot of different things, but the main thing is that you are making sure that all of their basic needs are met before you try and teach. And then Gardner's multiple intelligences, that just addresses that every student is different in the way that they learn best. Some students learn best when music is incorporated. Some learn best when movement is incorporated. Some learn best through visuals, and others learn best through hearing verbal instructions. So every student is different, and having a good grasp of what those multiple intelligences look like and how you can meet them where they're at and help them grow, that's what that kind of goes into. You have to have a knowledge of that so that you can accommodate your different learners. Teaching the whole child kind of relates to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it also relates to culturally responsive teaching, because you have to think about who your child is, who your student is as a child, not just in school, but what is their home life like? What is their culture like? What is their socioeconomic status like? You have to think about your whole student when you're teaching them, not just the academics. Culturally responsive teaching has to do with including in the classroom, making sure that you're representing all cultures that are in your classroom and in your school. You know, having posters of diverse students on the wall, reading books with diverse families. We know that when our students are represented in literature and in the classroom, they feel more safe, and you have a much more welcoming community environment in your classroom. I want to jump back over here to knowledge for a minute. because I don't think I talked about Bloom's taxonomy and the science of teaching reading. So when it comes to Bloom's taxonomy, it's kind of like levels of learning. So the younger your students are, you're probably going to spend a little bit more time in the lower levels, but you do want to make sure that you're reaching those higher levels. And it kind of follows the course of a unit. So when you first introduce a concept, you're going to be at the lower level, which is understanding. And then hopefully by the end of the unit, you're getting up into the analyzing or even create levels. So these are just some things that you might want to look into. Obviously, I'm not going to have time to teach you about every single one, and you will learn about these in your education courses. But these are just some things that if you're interested in learning about what you will be learning about, you might look up. So skipping past this, we already talked about this. All right, patience. So patience is a big one. It's probably one of the most important things. Yes, you have to have knowledge about pedagogy. Yes, you have to have knowledge about your content area, but you also have to have patience, because without patience, nothing else really matters. Because if you're gonna go to school for 4 years and learn all this stuff and spend all this money and dedicate your whole college career to becoming a good teacher, and then you get in the classroom and you can't maintain your cool, and you lose it whenever things go crazy in the classroom or get a little bit chaotic, or you have a student who's disrespectful, all of it will have been for nothing. So it's important that you realize that there are going to be tough days and that you're going to have tough students. And this phrase is something I like to remember whenever I have a tough day with a student that I'm tutoring or in my observation or my internship. Excuse me. This quote says, "They aren't giving me a hard time, they are having a hard time." And that kind of brings us back to our first slide. Teaching is hard work, because it truly is. And you have to make sure that your heart is in it, because otherwise things are going to go messy. So before you even start learning about knowledge and the content and the pedagogy, you have to make sure that you're a patient person and that your heart is in this, because otherwise it's going to be really hard and you're going to get really burned out really fast. So I'm excited to meet you all. I hope to work with you one day, and I hope that this has helped you kind of gain a better understanding of what you're walking into. Good luck, teachers.